Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tanya, I'm the reading mom, and I'm going to go through my books for 26 and 2026. And so this will be Bookmas Day 5 and 6. So the first one that we're going to talk about is Onyx Storm. I want to reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame first, and then go ahead and read Onyx Storm. I'm not going to tell you what this book is about. It's the third book in a series, and it'll just ruin the rest of the series for you. The next book is Legendborn, which, according to Amazon, this is what it says. It says, filled with mystery and intrigue, intriguingly rich magic system, Tracy Deon's young adult contemporary fantasy reinvents the King Arthur legend and braids together Southern folk tradition and black girl magic into a stirring modern tale of grief, power, and self-discovery. In the synopsis of the book, it says, after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape, until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies. A secret society of so-called legend-born students that hunt the creatures down. So that sounds really interesting. And then the next one is 5 Broken Blades. And this is the first in a series. It is by Mai Corland. And the way that it starts is the king of Yusan must die. That makes it sound really interesting to me. And this is a repeat from 2025. This is something I really want to read and really am looking forward to reading. And this is book 1 of 3. The next one is, hold on, I'm typing it in as we talk, Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This one here, it says, let's see, let's go down and read more. So this book apparently is supposed to be about Ted Bundy. It says the book opens on a Saturday night in 1978, hours before a soon-to-be infamous murderer descends upon a Florida sorority house with deadly results. And if you're anything like me, and you know some of the things that Ted Bundy did, that was his big thing, is doing sororities and taking girls that are on campus down in Florida. And that one sounds really intriguing to me, to kind of hear from some of the survivors that were attacked by Ted Bundy. The next one is Crave, and it's by Tracy Wolff. And the first paragraph here to explain the book says, my whole world changed when I stepped inside the academy. Nothing is right about this place or the students in it. Here I am, a mere mortal among gods or monsters. I still can't decide which of these warning factions I belong to, if I belong at all. I only know the one thing that unites them is their hatred for me. And this has six books total, including Crave in the series. And then the next book is Book of Asriel. And this is one of three. I'm sorry, one of four. The fourth book just came out. And this is supposed to be a dark romance. It's of the Gods Monsters series. It's by Amber V. Nicole. World Ender meets Ender of Worlds. 1,000 years ago, Diana gave up her life in the deserts of Eoria to save her dying sister. She called upon anyone who would listen, not expecting a monster far worse than any nightmares to answer. Now she does what Caden asks, even if that means securing an ancient relic from the very creature that hurt her. So that one sounded really interesting to me as well. The next one is Babel by R.F. Kuang. And this one was set back in the 1800s, apparently. It says, 1828, Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. Babel is the world's center for translation, and more importantly, magic. Silver working, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bards, has made the British unparalleled in power, as its knowledge serves the empire's quest for colonization. So I've had this book on my TBR for a couple years now. I really want to read the book this year, and hopefully I can get it into my Herked prompts. The next one is also by R.F. Kuang, is Yellowface. And it says, authors June Hayward and Althea Liu were supposed to be twin rising stars, but Althea's literary darling and June Hayward is literally nobody. Who wants stories about basic white girls, June thinks. So when June witnesses Althea's death in a freak accident, she acts on impulse. She steals Althea's just-finished masterpiece, an experimental novel about the unsung contributions of Chinese laborers during World War I. So that sounds interesting as well. Again, it was by R.F. Kuang. This next one is called Being Jazz. It is about a transgender teen growing up being transgender, and about her life and her struggles. And this one does cover a Herked prompt because we do the LGBTQP plus, whatever the acronyms are, and this falls under transgender. The next one is The Will of the Many, because I want to read the second book in this series. It says the Cantonese Republic, the hierarchy may rule the world now, but they do not know everything. I tell them my name is Vice Telemus. I tell them I was orphaned after a tragic accident 3 years ago, and that good fortune alone has led to my acceptance into their most prestigious school. I will tell them that once I graduate, I will gladly join the rest of the civilized society in allowing my strength, my drive, and my focus, what they call will, to be leached away and added to the power of those above me, as millions already do, as all must eventually do. So this one sounds interesting. And like I said, I want to read it so I can read the second book of the series. The next one is Fear the Flames. And I have the green edition cover. I'll, you know, it says, as a child, Elwyn Atera was ripped away from her dragons and imprisoned by her father, King Garrick of Imarath. Years later, Elwyn is now a woman determined to free her dragons, having established a secret kingdom of her own called Astelin. She's ready to do what's necessary to save her people and seek vengeance, even if it means having to align herself with the commander of Verith, Caden Viles, the most feared and dangerous man in all of the kingdom of Reverin. This book, too, I've had on my TBR for a couple years. And it's just been very intriguing to me. And I would really like to read it. That's why it's on my 26th and 2026. The next one is The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. And it says, there's always something slightly dangerous about Joan. So when she turns up at private investigator Henry Kimball's office asking him to investigate her husband, he can't help feeling ill at ease. Just the sight of her stirs up a chilling memory. He knew Joan in his previous life as a high school English teacher when he was at the center of a tragedy. Now, Joan needs his help proving that her husband is cheating, but what should be a simple case of infidelity becomes much more complicated when Kimball finds two bodies in an uninhabited suburban home with a for sale sign out front. Suddenly it feels like the past is repeating itself, and Henry must go back to one of the worst days of his life to uncover the truth. I've never read anything by Peter Swanson, but the cover just looked intriguing, so that's why I bought it. And I wanted to read it, so, and that sounds really interesting, so I'm excited to read that. The next one is The Let Them Theory, and this is a nonfiction. It's written by Mel Robbins and Sawyer Robbins. And so it's just, I want to maybe read more nonfiction this year. And I've had this one on my TBR for a year, so I want to get this one read and get it off the TBR as well. And because people have been talking about Brandon Sanderson all this year, I want to read Mistborn, the first one in the Cosmere, from my understanding. It is a sci-fi novel, if I remember correctly. Um, Fantasy. Sorry, it's a fantasy saga. Um, it says here, once a hero arose to save the world, he failed. Ever since, the world has been a wasteland of ash and mist controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind and determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of Mistborn. So that one there sounds interesting. It's just very intimidating for me to read. So hopefully I get to it. And if I like it, then I'll continue on in the series, which would be wonderful. The next one is The Wolf King. In this here it says, Princess Aurora longs to escape the castle and the marriage that has been arranged for her. But on the night before her wedding, at a dogfight where captured werewolves are made to fight for sport, she spares the life of a young wolf. It puts her on the radar of the powerful alpha who is going to kill him, and it changes everything. So that just sounded really interesting. It's by Laura Palfreyman. And that one sounds interesting as well. And then the one that came out this year is King of Ashes by S.A. Crosby. When eldest son Roman Carruthers is summoned home after his father's car accident, he finds his younger brother Dante in debt to dangerous criminals and his sister Nevaeh exhausted from holding the family and the family business together. Nevaeh and their father, who run the Carruthers crematorium in the run-down central Virginia town of Jefferson Run, see death up close every day. But mortality draws even closer when it becomes clear that the crash that landed their father in a coma was no accident, and Dante's recklessness has placed them all in danger. So that one sounds really interesting as well. I've never read anything by S.A. Crosby, but I'm willing to give it a try. And then to take care of my hook and prompt for a domesticated pet, I'm going to read Dewey, the small-town library cat who touched the world. It's about this cat, clearly, whose life in a library won over a farming town in the world. And so he's just a cat that's been in a library and he wanders around with the Patreons and that types of thing. And it's just the story of his life. And so that qualifies a Herkhead prompt for me. And then I want to read Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I have all hardcovers. Let's see, it says Sarah J. Maas's brand new Crescent City series begins with the House of Earth and Blood, the story of half-fae and half-human Bryce Quinlan as she seeks revenge in a contemporary fantasy world of magic, danger, and searing romance. And I do like Sarah J. Maas. I am of the opposite opinion of Throne of Glass. I did not like that series. It was too slow for me. And I still have one book yet to read. So, and then another one that's been put on my radar is Kiss of the Basilisk, and it's temperance versus has never been kissed. Not exactly ideal for a girl competing in the palace's most closely watched matchmaking ritual. Every year, a select group is invited to bond with the realm's magical basilisks and train in the art of charm, poise, and influence. The prize, a chance to win the prince's favor in a life of privilege. The second book just came out this year. And so I'm excited to read that. Kingdom of Ash is the last book that I have to read in the Throne of Glass series. So that is on my list as well. I want to read Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, which is the first book in the whole series. And the other 5 are The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. My Fault by Mercedes Ron. Mate by Allie Hazelwood, which really I might change out for another book because I want to read Mate for my October release, which I have to read in December. And then Deep Cuts, which has to do with the recording industry apparently, which also covers another prompt for Herkhead. If you have a 26 and 2026 to read, list some of them below. Let me know what you're reading. And in my beautiful book journal this year, this is my 26th and 2026. In my journal, I got at a craft fair. And so I'm excited. I will be back tomorrow with another video. Bye!